Hello, and welcome to this video where we'll explore one of the most famous and influential works of philosophy, Meditations on First Philosophy by René Descartes. In this work, Descartes tries to establish what can be known for sure by doubting everything that is not absolutely certain. He also introduces some of the most intriguing and controversial ideas in philosophy, such as the existence of God, the nature of the self, and the relationship between the mind and the body. But before we dive into Descartes' arguments, let's imagine a scenario that will help us understand his perspective. Imagine that you're living in a reality where there is a being that exists in a separate plane of existence, who is the only one that actually generates all thoughts that have ever been thought. He is the thought maker, the source of all thoughts that have ever been thought. He does not know why he thinks, or how he thinks, or what he thinks. He does not care about his thoughts, or what they do, or where they go. He just lets them flow like a river of endless possibilities. But his thoughts, they do not stay with him. They escape from his dimension and they enter ours. They travel through space and time and they find their way into our minds. They're the sparks that ignite our imagination, the whispers that inspire our creativity, the flashes that enlighten our understanding. They're the seeds that grow into our ideas, our beliefs, our values, our actions. We don't know where our thoughts come from or how they come to us or what they mean to us. We do not know if they're ours or if they're his. We don't know if they're random or if they're intentional. We don't know if they're beneficial or if they're harmful. We don't know anything except that we think. We think that we think for ourselves, but we do not. We think what he thinks for us. We are his puppets, his playthings, his experiments. We're his reflections, his expressions, his manifestations. We are his thoughts. How would you feel if you discovered that this scenario was true? How would you react if you realized that you have no control over your own thoughts? How would you cope if you had learned that you have no free will, no identity, no meaning? How would you question everything that you have ever thought? This is how Descartes felt when he started his meditations. He wasn't satisfied with the knowledge that he had acquired from his senses, from his education, from his culture. He wanted to find out what he could know for sure without relying on any external authority or source. He wanted to find out what he could know by using only his reason. So, he decided to doubt everything that he could doubt. He doubted the existence of the physical world, of his own body, of other people, of God. He doubted even the validity of his own reason and logic. He wondered if there was a powerful and malicious being who could deceive him about everything that he thought was true. He called this being the evil demon or evil genius, and he imagined that his being could manipulate his senses, his memory, his imagination, and even his reasoning. He imagined that this being could make him believe that he was awake when he was actually dreaming, that he was seeing when he was actually blind, that he was thinking when he was actually confused. He asked himself, how can I be sure that I'm not under the influence of such a being? How can I be sure that anything that I perceive or think is true? How can I be sure that I exist? He found only one answer. I think, therefore I am. This was the only thing that he could not doubt, because even if he doubted it, he would still be thinking it. He realized that he could not doubt his own existence as a thinking thing. He realized that this was the first and most certain truth that he could know. But this was not enough for Descartes. He wanted to know more than just his own existence. He wanted to know if there was anything else that existed outside of his mind. He wanted to know if there was a God who created him and everything else. He wanted to know if there was a physical world that corresponded to his sensations and ideas. So he continued his meditations and tried to prove the existence of God and the reality of the external world by using various arguments based on clear and distinct perceptions, or perceptions that are so evident and obvious that they can't be doubted. Innate ideas, or ideas that are born with us and don't depend on our experiences, and causal principles, or principles that state that every effect must have a cause, and that the cause must have at least as much reality as the effect. He also tried to explain the nature of the self, the essence of material things, and the relationship between mind and body by using various examples and analogies, such as the wax argument, or the argument that shows that the essence of material things is not their sensible qualities, but their extension. The Cartesian circle, or the circular reasoning that involves proving the existence of God by using clear and distinct perceptions and proving the validity of clear and distinct perceptions by using the existence of God. And mind-body dualism, or the view that the mind and body are two distinct substances that can interact with each other. These are some of the main ideas and arguments that Descartes presents in his meditations. They're not easy to understand or accept, and they have been challenged and criticized by many philosophers and thinkers ever since. They have also been influential and inspiring for many fields of knowledge, such as mathematics, physics, psychology, and artificial intelligence. But why should we care about Descartes' meditations today? What relevance do they have for our modern world? How can they help us understand ourselves and our reality? One possible answer is that Descartes' meditations raise some fundamental questions that are still relevant and unsolved today. Questions such as, what is the nature of consciousness? How do we know that we are conscious? How do we know that other beings are conscious? What's the difference between human consciousness and animal consciousness? What's the difference between natural consciousness and artificial consciousness? What's the origin of our thoughts? How do we generate our thoughts? How do we control our thoughts? How do we evaluate our thoughts? How do we communicate our thoughts? What is the role of reason in our lives? How do we use reason to acquire knowledge? How do we use reason to solve problems? How do we use reason to make decisions? How do we use reason to justify our actions? What's the relationship between mind and body? How do they interact with each other? How do they affect each other? How do they depend on each other? How do they influence each other? What is the meaning of our existence? Why do we exist? What is our purpose? What is our value? What is our destiny? These are some of the questions that Descartes tried to answer in his meditations, but he didn't provide definitive or satisfactory answers. He left many gaps, contradictions, and doubts in his arguments. He also opened many doors, possibilities, and challenges for further inquiry. We can follow his example and try to answer these questions for ourselves by using our own reason, imagination, and creativity. We can also learn from his mistakes and avoid his pitfalls by using our own experience, evidence, and criticism. We can also appreciate his achievements and contributions by using our own curiosity, admiration, and gratitude. We can also realize that we're not alone in this quest for knowledge and for wisdom. We can realize that there are many others who have thought about these questions before us, who are thinking about these questions with us, and who will think about these questions after us. We can realize that we're part of a long and rich tradition of philosophical inquiry that spans across time, space, and culture. We can realize that we are not his thoughts. We are our own thoughts. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos on philosophy topics and artificial intelligence. See you next time.